Look, I sleep with my hand on my gun. I do, and she sleeps with it close to her as well. My family has been very heavily affected by crime, and why Vicky got a gun is about a year ago, her mother was strangled in her house in Blue Water Bay and left for dead. About 6 months prior to that, her best friend from school was tied up in a bed and raped, and then had her head smashed into the wooden lampstand. So we are quite afraid. Not afraid, but, we know what can happen. These guys, they do some terrible things. And the ideal thing is obviously to be preventative rather than, having them in your bloody house and having to shoot them. But what happened is we had a window open. Look, I'm an insomniac. That's why we sleep apart. And I just literally, you can see I'm actually still watching a YouTube video at the time, and I dozed off. And then I heard a gunshot. And I ran down the stairs. Yeah, from her perspective, I go downstairs. I sleep 3 hours a night, generally. And so she heard a noise, and she thought, well, it must be me. But then she can't see the kitchen light on. So she didn't think anything of it. She heard a noise, and then she heard another noise. And this time she stood up, and she started walking in the direction. But when she saw the guy, now with the adrenaline, obviously, she was a bit confused, but she said she saw the guy in the doorway, and she said, "Craven, is that you?" And the guy didn't identify himself, and what he did instead is he started moving towards her, and she thought she saw something, from what I understand, a knife or something, and so she opened fire. And her training, and from what we've seen on YouTube regarding knife fights, they are trained officers. If your gun is holstered, a knife attacker can close a gap of 20 foot and stab you 3 or 4 times before you can get your gun out. Before the third shot was gone, the guys were out the window already. She didn't have time to fire a third shot. That's how quickly these guys moved. And then I just covered the bases, checked the room to the side, ran down to her bedroom and pressed the panic button because she hadn't pressed that. The security guys were quite quick. They got there in about 10 minutes.